Let's be honest, your identity might not be fully yours. It might be a carefully curated colonial heirloom, a psychological hand-me-down that arrived by imperial post, stamped approved by the crown, and smelling faintly of tea, mothballs, and cultural superiority. You know the signs, you apologize in your mother tongue, feel a strange pride when a foreign accent mistakes you for articulate, and deep down still suspect your ancestors were doing it all wrong until Europe arrived with a flag and a flowchart. This isn't paranoia, it's the legacy of the colonial mind, a psychic blueprint drafted in distant capitals and implanted with the precision of a missionary's prayer. For generations, the African psyche has been the ultimate fixer-upper project for outsiders with a savior complex and terrible taste. Colonialism wasn't just about taking land, it was a hostile takeover of the imagination. They didn't just want your resources, they wanted to renovate your soul, installing European windows in your worldview, Victorian wallpaper over your spirituality, and a little sign on the door that read, "Civilized at last." The project's success is measured in the lingering echo. Is my native tongue professional? Is my history valid? Would my traditional attire be taken seriously at an international conference? This script explores that haunting inheritance with a smirk and a side-eye. We're channeling the spirit of Frantz Fanon if he wrote satirical LinkedIn posts, and Ngugi wa Thiong'o if his decolonial lectures came with laugh tracks. Because sometimes you have to laugh to keep from crying or from writing a strongly worded letter to the ghost of Cecil Rhodes. Here, we unpack how your identity became a rented property with European landlords, why your mind still pays cultural rent, and how you can finally serve an eviction notice to the colonial tenant squatting in your subconscious. The revolution may not be televised, but the recovery. It starts with a punchline. If your identity feels like a poorly dubbed foreign film, where the lips move in Yoruba or Swahili but the voiceover is crisp British received pronunciation, you can thank a few key historical visionaries. These architects didn't just build railways and borders, they engineered a whole new operating system for the African psyche, with all the glitches and compatibility issues you'd expect from beta testing on an entire continent. First in line, the colonial administrator with a god complex. Armed with a pith helmet and unshakable certainty, this gentleman saw thriving, complex societies and declared them a blank slate. His thesis, cribbed from thinkers like Thomas Babington Macaulay, was simple. Local knowledge was worthless. As Macaulay infamously declared about India, a single shelf of European books was worth more than all the native literature and science. Africa received the same intellectual erase and replace treatment. His tool of choice, the colonial school, designed not to educate but to produce, as Nigerian scholar Chinua Achebe observed, a class of persons, African in blood and color, but English in taste, in opinions, in morals, and in intellect. Then came the missionary or holy ghostwriter. This architect specialized in spiritual rebranding. Your powerful ancestral names became Paul and Mary. Your vibrant cosmology was filed under pagan superstition. His blueprint was salvation through cultural demolition, and his legacy is the internal conflict where your grandmother's prayers feel backward, while a religion forced upon your ancestors feels like the correct path to grace. Finally, the modern-day cultural curator from Hollywood and media. This architect ensures the redesign sticks. He peddles a single story where your complexity is reduced to poverty porn, safari backdrops, or wise suffering nobility. The goal? To make you see yourself through a lens of exotic lack, forever striving toward a benchmark of normal that exists somewhere else. Together, these architects built a house of identity where you live, but the deed, the blueprint, and the decorator's credit all belong to someone else. The colonial project wasn't a haphazard looting spree. It was a meticulous, multi-generational psychological engineering feat. Its most insidious creation was the good native, a perfectly calibrated identity that was obedient, grateful, and forever looking to the metropole for validation. This blueprint was implemented through systematic, soul-level renovations. The first step was a linguistic lobotomy. The goal was to sever the mind from its cultural nervous system. By banning or demeaning indigenous languages in schools, courts, and serious discourse, colonizers enacted what Kenyan author Ngugi wa Thiong'o calls a cultural bomb. Your mother tongue became the language of the home, the hearth, and shame, while the colonial language became the sole vessel for logic, ambition, and intellect. You were taught to think in a grammar of subjugation. Next came a complete hysterectomy. Your past was surgically removed and replaced with a prefabricated narrative. Pre-colonial achievements were erased, resistance was labeled savagery, and the entire timeline of human progress was rerouted to originate in Europe and passively arrive in Africa. As articulated by Walter Rodney in How Europe Underdeveloped Africa, this fabricated history wasn't just inaccurate, it was a tool to manufacture a sense of inherent lack and permanent debt. Finally, they executed an aesthetic and spiritual reformatting. Every marker of your being was recalibrated to a foreign standard. As Frantz Fanon dissected in Black Skin, White Masks, you were taught to see your own skin, hair, and features as problems to be solved. Your spirituality was demonized, your art was primitive, your communal values were inefficient. The good native was the final product, a person hollowed out of their own cultural software, running entirely on colonial code and programmed to believe this was an upgrade. The colonial mind is a ghost that doesn't haunt. It resides. You carry it with you, and its presence is betrayed by a series of subtle, telling symptoms that reveal the blueprint is still running your internal software. First, you believe Europe is the standard and Africa is the deviation. You instinctively describe your own traditions as interesting while viewing Western practices as normal. You call your cousin's traditional wedding cultural, but a white wedding in a hotel is just a wedding. Second, your passport is a trophy, but your ancestral land is a question. You feel a deeper thrill at a UK or US visa stamp than at the knowledge of your lineage. The approval of a foreign border agent subconsciously feels like a greater achievement than the acceptance of your own elders. Third, you suffer from chronic comparative anxiety. You don't just pursue success, you pursue a type of success that would be legible and impressive to a hypothetical European observer. Your ambition has a permanent, invisible foreign auditor. Finally, you experience linguistic dissonance as a way of life. You express complex ideas in a colonial language, but revert to your mother tongue, mainly for humor, emotion, or gossip. The language of your intellect and the language of your soul have been filed in separate, rarely connected rooms of your mind. This isn't just code switching. It's a psychic split, a daily reminder that the colonial architect designated one language for power and another for intimacy. The toll of inhabiting a borrowed identity is not passive. It is an active, draining tax on the spirit. The colonial mind turns the self into a psychological rental property. You live there, but you don't own the deed. You can't renovate freely, and a distant absentee landlord still dictates the terms of your occupancy. The most profound cost is chronic existential fatigue. Your energy is spent upholding a persona designed elsewhere. Every achievement is shadowed by a whisper. Is this what they meant by success? This isn't mere imposter syndrome, it's inherited imposterhood, a legacy where you feel fraudulent in your own life because the script was never yours to begin with. You perform a version of yourself calibrated for an audience that left the theater decades ago. This leads to relational surface levelity. How can others truly know you when you are, as philosopher Akili Mbembe might frame it, a palimpsest, a parchment scraped clean and overwritten with foreign text? Relationships become exchanges between performances, not persons. Love and friendship feel conditional because, historically, they were the original colonial transaction offered conditional humanity in exchange for mimicry. You are left with a deep, unspoken loneliness, the price of living in a house where the mirrors reflect someone else's idea of you. Recovering from colonialism isn't about swapping one dogma for another. It's a messy, courageous, and often hilarious journey of psychic reclamation. Consider this a 12-step program for evicting your internal colonial border. No white saviors required. Step 1. Admit you have a problem, and that the problem's name is probably something like the white man's burden or manifest destiny. Acknowledge that your inner monologue sometimes sounds like a 19th century district commissioner. Step 2. Believe that a power greater than yourself, your ancestors, can restore you to sanity. They survived the Middle Passage, resistance wars, and cultural erasure. Your identity crisis is a challenge they are equipped for. Step 3. Make a decision to turn your will over to your own intuition, not to the ghost of a colonial education system that taught you to distrust your gut. Step 4. Take a fearless moral inventory. Audit your beliefs, which are truly yours and which were pre-installed. Do you actually enjoy opera, or do you just like feeling cultured? Step 5. Admit the exact nature of your wrongs to yourself, your community, and one elder who will side-eye you lovingly. Example: I once called our traditional ceremony quaint, and I am deeply sorry. The journey is ongoing, but each step is a brick in a new foundation, one you own. Reclaiming your mind requires practical, daily acts of psychic renovation. Think of it as home improvement for your soul, replacing colonial fixtures with designs of your own making. Start with language rehydration. Make a conscious effort to learn and use proverbs, terms of endearment, or even casual curses in your mother tongue. Let it reclaim space in your mind, not just as a language of emotion, but of intellect and command. Commit to a history detox. For every book, documentary, or article you consume about Western history, intentionally seek out one by an African historian, philosopher, or storyteller. Recenter your understanding of the world's timeline. Engage in aesthetic reclamation. Wear patterns, fabrics, or styles that connect you to your heritage with pride, not as a costume. Finally, practice spiritual repatriation. Create a small ritual, lighting a candle, saying a name, sharing a meal that honors your ancestors. It's not superstition, it's re-establishing a dialogue with the lineage that colonialism tried to sever. This toolkit isn't about rejection, it's about active, joyful recreation.